Cindy Moon, and the Quiet Silk debut. The blink and you miss it cameo that broke Marvel social media the weekend Brand New Day dropped. During a lecture at Empire State University, Bruce Banner is teaching a class about DNA mutation. A student raises her hand from the middle rows. She asks him about the logistics of Thanos' plan to wipe out half of all life in the universe. Peter Parker is in the same class. He does not react. The scene moves on. Fans immediately notice something. The student's name is Cindy, which triggered every Spider-Man comic reader in the theater. Cindy Moon is the alter ego of Silk, one of the newer and most popular additions to the Spider-Man family in Marvel Comics. The third appearance of Cindy Moon across the MCU. She first appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, played by Tiffany Espenson. She showed up briefly again in Avengers Infinity War in 2018, then she disappeared from Marvel films entirely. 6 years passed. Everybody assumed the character was just a background name. Then Brand New Day brought her back, this time played by Shannon Young Cho. Same character, different actress. Marvel recast the role. The classroom setting matches Silk's origin exactly. In the comics, Cindy Moon is bitten by the exact same radioactive spider that bit Peter Parker. She develops spider powers of her own. She is hidden by Ezekiel Sims from the Inheritors for years before Peter finds her. She adopts the name Silk. Her origin is centered entirely around DNA mutation, which is what Bruce Banner is teaching in Brand New Day. Marvel is planting the character. 3 appearances across almost 10 years cannot be accidental. A Silk project has been rumored for years. Sony had a Silk TV series in development before it fell apart. The recasting suggests Marvel is preparing to bring Cindy Moon forward as an actual character in future films. Silk is coming. The question is only when. Peter's mutation arc in Brand New Day is centered around DNA transformation. Silk's comic origin involves the same spider that bit Peter. If Marvel is planting her, the connection makes perfect sense. She could be introduced properly in Spider-Man 5 as another mutant hero, or Marvel could give her a Disney Plus series. Either way, the fact that they recast the role and brought her back suggests the character has a future. Marvel does not spend production time on cameos that lead nowhere. Jean DeWolf, the comic-fated NYPD detective. Liza Colin-Zayas from The Bear makes her MCU debut in Brand New Day. Her character is not just a supporting cop, she is playing NYPD detective Jean DeWolf, one of the most important allies Spider-Man has ever had in the comics. Her presence changes everything about how the film's ending should be read. DeWolf first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1976. She spent almost a decade as Peter Parker's police contact, the one cop who trusted Spider-Man, the one who fed him information, the one who protected him from the department. Then, in 1985, everything changed. Peter David wrote a multi-issue arc called The Death of Jean DeWolf. In it, Jean is brutally murdered by a masked vigilante called Sign Eater. Spider-Man spends the entire story investigating her death. It is one of the darkest and most emotional Spider-Man storylines ever published. The story is famous for reshaping who Peter Parker is as a person. He almost crosses lines he had never crossed before. The moral weight of losing Jean transforms him. Colin-Zayas playing DeWolf in Brand New Day is Marvel planting the character for that eventual comic adaptation. She is Peter's ally throughout the film. She works with him on the Bill Metzger investigation. She trusts him. She protects him. Every scene between them is building the emotional foundation for her death, which means Spider-Man 5 may be the film where Marvel finally adapts the death of Jean DeWolf, the Sign Eater storyline, the murder investigation, the moral crisis for Peter, all of it. Fans who caught the DeWolf reveal immediately started dreading what happens to her next. She survived Brand New Day. She may not survive the next one. Marvel does not cast comic-fated characters by accident. Jean DeWolf is a countdown clock. Sarah Gray Jean, Gray's dead sister. The most important hidden character in the entire film. Sarah Gray never appears physically on screen as an adult. She has no scenes, no dialogue, no credit. She is introduced entirely through Jean Grey's memories and dialogue, but her presence is what makes the whole film work emotionally. Sarah Gray is Jean's older sister. They grew up together in foster care after their mother abandoned them for being mutants. Sarah did not have mutant powers herself, Jean did. That difference meant Sarah spent years protecting her sister from a world that hated mutants. Then, the Department of Damage Control found them. Bill Metzger captured Sarah. He ran experiments on her. He tried to figure out what made mutants different. She died in that facility. The last thing Sarah did before dying was send Jean a telepathic message. She managed to communicate one word: VMAX. Jean spent years trying to figure out what VMAX meant. Fans in the theater initially thought it was a Venom symbiote setup. Marvel fueled that theory with vague marketing. Then the reveal hit. VMAX was not VMAX, it was VentMax, the label on a ventilation duct that Sarah saw as she died. Her telepathic transmission caught the last thing her eyes registered. Not a chemical, not a weapon, just a vent label. That single detail is what makes Sarah's death so heartbreaking. She died looking at a wall, trying to send her sister something meaningful, getting a piece of hardware instead. Sarah Gray is the emotional foundation of the entire movie. Her death is Jean's motivation. Her death makes Jean sympathetic instead of villainous. Everything Jean does across Brand New Day is because Sarah died. In the comics, Sarah Gray has a complicated arc. She becomes possessed by the Phoenix Force at various points. She dies, she comes back, she dies again. Marvel may resurrect her through the multiverse in future films. Sarah Gray is the mutant whose death justifies everything Jean does. The film's ghost, the character we never see, the character who shapes everything. When Jean gets on the bus at the end of Brand New Day heading to Xavier's school, she is doing it for Sarah. Every mutant Jean saves in future MCU films will be a memorial to her sister. Sarah Gray is the reason Jean Grey exists in this version of the MCU, and Marvel introduced her without ever showing her face. If you're loving these hidden character breakdowns, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. We've got more coming. Let's keep going. Miles Morales, the MCU debut hidden in plain sight. Brand New Day plants multiple potential Miles Morales teases throughout the film. Marvel is telegraphing something, but nobody is sure exactly what. The biggest tease happens at the very end of the movie. Peter has just been shot. He is in the hospital. Frank Castle is standing in an upstairs window disguised as Spider-Man to fool the crowd waiting outside. Peter slips out anonymously through a side entrance. Except one kid is not fooled. A child credited only as WebKid, played by Elvis Carlos, recognizes Peter as the real Spider-Man. He walks up to Peter. Peter respects the observational skills. They share web-slinging hand signs and Spider-Man chants. It is a fun, brief moment. Fans immediately theorize this is Miles Morales making his live-action MCU debut. Then the other teases stack up. Ned's Instagram handle throughout the film is Grateful Ned 42. The 42 references the Alchemax 42 spider that bit Miles in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The number 42 is famously a Jackie Robinson tribute in the animated films. Peter is shown at one point hanging upside down from a girder in the same exact position as Miles and Gwen in the opening of Across the Spider-Verse. On Ned's Spider-Man suspect board, there is an article about a Latino parkour prodigy named Carlos Rodriguez. Obscured photos on the board resemble Miles' Spider-Verse design. Ned's Spider Tracker app is nearly identical to the Friendly Neighborhood app from Insomniac's Spider-Man video games. That app was created by Miles Morales' best friend Genki Lee. Marvel is planting Miles across multiple story threads without making him a full character yet. WebKid may not literally be Miles Morales, but he is Marvel telling audiences they have not forgotten. The multiverse saga may finally deliver Miles to live action in Spider-Man 5, Doomsday, or Secret Wars. Kevin Feige has publicly stated that Miles Morales joining live action is possible after Beyond the Spider-Verse releases next year. Sony reportedly agreed, which means the setup pieces have to start now. Brand New Day is Marvel planting every possible thread they could plant without officially introducing the character. The WebKid moment is the most literal one. A young black kid recognizing Peter Parker as the real Spider-Man while pretending it is a fun exchange. Every rewatch, that scene will hit different for fans who know what Marvel is building toward. Gwen, Stacy, potentially Peter's blonde apartment neighbor, the hidden character fans have been quietly theorizing about since the earliest set photos leaked. Peter Parker has a new blonde neighbor in his apartment building. She appears in only a couple of brief scenes. She is clearly into Peter. Peter does not pay her any attention. In one memorable comedic moment, Peter accidentally wears her top in an awkward laundry mix-up. That single scene puts her in the same visual space as Peter for maybe a minute, then she disappears. Marvel never gives her a name in the film. She is credited only as a supporting role, which is exactly why fans immediately suspected something bigger. This character is potentially Gwen Stacy, making her live-action MCU debut. Tombstone, the Into the Spider-Verse bridge casting. Marvin Jones III plays Lonnie Lincoln, also known as Tombstone, in his live-action debut in Brand New Day. The character appears in the opening comic cover recreation montage, strangling Spider-Man over a rooftop building. It is a direct recreation of Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man number 142. Tombstone is a classic Spider-Man villain. Genetically altered skin, super strength, underworld crime boss. He is the type of villain Marvel has been holding back for years. Now he is finally in the MCU.